Hey everyone, David Nagel here. Let me ask you a really important question. What have you done this last year? It is a fantastic question because if you don't make a different decision, chances are you're going to do it all over again next year. Come on in and give a listen. See if we can break that habit.
You're listening to the Successful Mind Podcast.
Successful people learn how to make their minds work for them. I'm David Nagel, and this is the Successful Mind Podcast. Hey everybody, David Nagel here. Welcome to another episode of the Successful Mind Podcast. So I want to tell you a little bit of a story and give you some idea. We're in December, we're in the holidays, and it's festive and it's time for family and fun, and it's supposed to be a joyous time. And we live in a crazy world, so we've got a crazy world that's going on, and we have people in various different areas of business and success in life. And I wanted to give you something to think about, to kind of reflect over this last year about what you've done and to prepare you for our next week's episode, which is also about where you're going to go over the next year. And I'm specifically want to tie into finances. And the reason that I want to do that this year is because I don't want to just cover normal goals. We do that frequently a few times through the year, but it's coming to my attention more and more people are really struggling with finances. And as many of you know, I worked with my mentor, Bob Proctor, who, God rest his soul, is deceased now, for 7 years. And I mentored with him for a few years before I began to work with him. And there was something that he used to say, a few things that pertain to what it is that I'm talking about today. And one of them was that a goal is not about getting anything. And I've been in this industry and been helping people for 25 years now. And I'll tell you what, almost every person that I come across when I begin to work with them in our relationship, they're looking to get something in their life. And I always feel that it's a huge success if I could help that individual kind of reverse their thinking and come from the perspective in their mind where they're looking out in their life through the filter of who they truly are. Because one of the biggest problems that we have is that we've been raised in a society, and I don't care where you come from in the world, it's pretty much the same everywhere to some degree, where we think that we have to get things so that we can do things so that we can have things. I know that was programmed deep into my mind. A matter of fact, when I first started realizing that I had made some mistakes in my early adult life, I immediately fell into the filter of that way of thinking. And I thought that I was completely stuck because I thought the only way to get out of the situation that I'm in is that I have to get more education so I could get more money. I mean, and for those of you that have followed the podcast for a long time, you know the story over and over again, right? I was a high school dropout. I got married young, had 2 kids, didn't have an education, was driving a forklift and driving a truck on the weekends. And we were really, really hurting, right? Lost our car, lost our apartment. We were on food stamps, the whole 9 yards. Just couldn't get any worse. And I thought that I woke up to the idea that, okay, I need to accept responsibility for this as much as I was able to do at that time. But there was some there. So I'll give myself a little bit of credit. But I thought, well, what caused the problem? I think the problem was originally caused by I didn't finish high school. So I thought, okay, in order to change this around, I have to have an education or some kind of skill so people will pay me more money. I got to go back to school. But I can't go back to school because I don't have time and I don't have money. And I actually stepped into one of the next levels of consciousness is where you finally have the courage to ask other people for help. But I was asking all the wrong people because everybody that I asked for help couldn't give me an answer. They didn't know how to get out of the problem that I was in. And that was a little frightening at the time because I was thinking to myself, am I going to be stuck here for the rest of my life in this situation? And if there had been anybody in my life at the time that said, David, if you will reverse the way that you're thinking about this problem, the door to opportunity will instantly open for you, and whatever it is that you need will begin to show up. I don't know that I would have believed that, but here's the thing. That's what I'm doing for you on this episode of this podcast. I want to open that door for everybody that's listening to this. And if you know people that are struggling with their life, refer them to this specific episode, okay? So when I worked with my mentor, he said, look, goals aren't to get. Goals are to show you what you need to become. They help you develop yourself so that as in the developing of yourself, you can be more, and in your being more, you can do more, and you can actually have more. But it all starts with you becoming more. Now, when it comes to finances, what's interesting about this is that most people don't realize you have to have a vehicle in which you can be more in. Now, let me explain this. Frequently, people will listen to my information and they'll contact us in some way and they'll say, hey, what kind of programs do you have going on? Or what kind of coaching do you have to offer? Or this type of thing. And we'll start to tell them what it is that they have to do. And they'll explain to us the situation that they're in financially. And some of them will be in a situation where they're working a job. So let me just say this. I'm not down on jobs. I don't think a person having a job is a bad thing. But here is a little secret to earning a lot of money that most people never understand. The money that you earn in a job is not significant enough to change the way that your mind needs to think in order to become wealthy in your life. In other words, it basically doesn't matter. And I'm not saying it doesn't matter that you're not making money and you're taking care of you and your family. That definitely matters. But it's not relevant to what needs to change psychologically in order for you to earn the money that you actually want to earn in your life if you have a big dream for yourself, right? If you want to break out of the day-to-day working for a living, trading time for money, the money that you work in a job doesn't carry over to the next transformation of yourself to become the person that you want to be so that you can earn more money. And let me tell you why this is. Because jobs were not created for you to become the best that you can be. Jobs were created in a way that you could become the best you needed to be for the job that you had. That's about it. It wasn't about you becoming massively successful in your life. It was about you making enough money that you could support yourself and maybe your family, and that you would do basically the repetitive job every day. And we bought into the idea we could do this for the rest of our life. And people stay, enormously stuck there. Because if you were raised in that ideology, you were probably also raised with the idea that going out on your own or starting a business is an extraordinarily risky thing. And then you've got all the negatives that go with it. Negative ideas about money, negative ideas about wealthy people, negative ideas about capitalism. It just goes on and on and on, the amount that we're exposed to in a negative way. So let's talk about the trade that we make when we actually get a job, because this is fascinating. When we decide that we're going to get a job, if you've had a job or you're in a job, ask yourself, what is the questions that you asked yourself when you decided you were going to get a job? And usually what it is for most people is it's something like this. I have to take care of myself or my family. There's some kind of format there that they're processing in their mind. And then they think, here's some idea of how much money that I need to make. And they think, well, what job could I do where I could actually earn that much money? Now, right off the bat, they're going down the wrong road. From an educational perspective, they will show you lists like, here's where job growth is. Here's where people need educations to get jobs. Here's the schools that provide those educations to get jobs. Here's how much those people make and how much they can make in their career. and they give you the illusion of choice. So they provide you with this idea like, here's all the choices that you have, but nobody's asking you the most important thing. What do you really want to do with your life? What is really tugging at your heart that you want to do? So we don't start off down that road trying to find it, right? Yeah, when we're kids, we have multiple experiences. Maybe we've tried several different sports, or, we tried, theater in school or camera club, or, so there's music, there's different things that we try, but they don't open us up to the life experiences that we need to be exposed to really turn us on the inside and go, wait a minute, there's something here in me that's being pulled in this direction. By the time we start to wake up to that, we're already funneled off into the idea of what school do we need to go to in order to become what specific thing. Nobody's saying, hey, what do you really want to do? What do you find yourself drawn to? And then finding some way to give you the experiences to see what those things are like and if you actually like them. So we're also taught about goals. And we're taught the only way to get things is to set a goal. So right off the bat, again, this is something else that we're taught in reverse. In order to get something, I've got to set a goal. Goals, very basically, give your life direction. This is the only reason that we set goals, because they give our life direction. They put us in a position where we can then start to become more. But when we're talking about money, if we're working in a job, we're not becoming more to earn more money. Yeah, there might be a little bit more on the horizon, but probably not enough for you to live the life that you truly want to live. So what's established is that we're in the wrong vehicle. And when I was working with my mentor, I heard him say, he didn't say this directly to me the first time that I heard this, but I was sitting in a seminar or a talk that he was giving, and he was talking he said this to a large group of people. He said, you can make whatever amount of money that you want. He was famous for saying everybody in this room could turn their annual income into a monthly income and that they can do it this month. And I had heard him say that a bunch of times. And then one day he said, but you have to have a vehicle. And I thought, wait a minute, I never heard that before. You have to have a vehicle. Now, I had probably been listening to him maybe 18 months or so before I heard him say this. And I was still working a job at the time. I had already been thinking to myself, I would really love to have my own business at this part of my life. But I never drew together the idea that in order to make the amount of money that I really wanted, I had to have a vehicle. It wasn't that I didn't know that, like that wasn't part of my awareness, but I wasn't connecting the dots. Oh, in order for me to grow into the person that I want to be, to do whatever I want to do so that I can have what I want, I have to be in some kind of vehicle that allows me to grow into that individual. Because if I'm not in that kind of vehicle, there's no way for me to grow into what I want. Now, last week, I had somebody say to me, I don't understand what my problem is with making money. Now, this is a person who recently started their own business. And frankly, they can't get out of their own way when it comes to making money. And they said, I don't understand why I'm having so much trouble making money. I crushed it in the corporate world. And I said, the amount of money that you made in the corporate world, no matter how much it is, has no relevance to what it is that you're doing as a business owner. And here's the reason why. Because you were not doing, based on the law of cause and effect, you were not doing the things that were necessary in order to make money on your own as a business. And I could tell there was a little resistance. Maybe they were even offended a little bit when I said this. And I said, no, listen to me. This is very important that you hear what I'm telling you. You're making a huge mistake thinking because you made a significant amount of money in the corporate world that will allow you, that you now have the skill to make money as a business owner. You do not. You do not. And here's the reason why. When you went and worked for a job, how many times did you look somebody in the eye and ask for the money to be paid every week, right? If you're lucky, it was once. And with many people, when they go for an interview for a job, they don't say, here's how much I want to make and look the person in the eye and ask for that. as an income. It is usually presented in some way which they tell you what the job pays or what they're willing to pay as a company, and then you kind of determine, well, is this a right fit for me or not? And then you either accept or you reject the position. And then you go about the job. And you go about the job day after day, month after month, year after year. You're not asking for money. You're doing a job. You're solving problems or you're creating something for somebody else. That is not the cause and effect of money. Those people pay you because they've made an agreement. You're an expense to that company, okay? And that company will have marketing. That company will have advertising. That company will probably have salespeople that they have to go out and they have to ask people for money every single day so that they can pay their expenses. One of them is you, but you don't have to ask for money every day. So you're not learning the skill of, number one, making a sale, number two, asking for money. Mark this down either in your mind or make a note of it some way. There's only one thing in the world that moves money, and that's sales. And the reason for that is because money is a tool that makes our life better, and it makes us to be able to communicate from a business perspective all around the world. That's the only purpose of it. It has no other purpose. It's a value for value trade. That's all it's ever meant to be. But in order for that to happen, people have to ask for it. And in order for that to happen, a company has to have a way for people to ask for it. Now, if you start your own business, you're the company. You're that one person. And being that one person, you have to not only become skilled, you need to master the ability to ask for that, not just once in a while, but many times every single day. Every single day, okay? Now, I'm going to talk more about why people get stuck with this on the next episode that we have. But for right now, I want you to think about something. What have you done this last year? What have you spent your time doing? Are you working for somebody else, but you're not satisfied and you want to go someplace different? And you're thinking to yourself, what can I do where I could actually make more money? But you're stuck in the limited mindset around, or I should actually say the limited perception of the way that you see your life now. First thing, number one, change the way that you're viewing your world. Instead of thinking, I need something to make a change, realize all you need to do is to be something. And to be something, all you have to do is make a decision. If you claim that you're something and then you make a decision and act on that, you will then become that. You don't need anything else to do that. And you might say, well, I don't need anything. What you need will show up to you, but it won't do it until you actually make the decision to do it. See, that's not the way it works in the world where we work for somebody else, because they provide all the things that we need to be able to do our job. The responsibility falls in their laps to be able to do that. And that's not a bad statement or derogatory. Don't get into good or bad here. It's just the vehicle that it is. That's what it is. Everybody knows that on some level. But it causes us to interpret the world thinking that I have to have somebody else do something for me so that I can move forward. You do not. You do not. What did you do with your life this year? And realize you're on the precipice of going into a brand new year. You can create your life any way that you want it. The only thing that it requires is that you make a decision. If you make a decision, everything that you need will begin to show up for you. And get on our email list, pay attention to what we're doing, because we've got some programs coming up that will absolutely blow your mind and help you get where you want to go this year. We have the Art of Success. We have our Elite Mind 90-day program. They're all designed. They're designed for anybody. Like anybody could actually do the programs and advance where they are, but they're specifically designed for the person that really wants to live their dream, because everything that they need to be, do, and have inside of themselves is explained and shown to them, and giving them a very specific structure of what they need to do step by step in order to live the life that they want. What life are you living now? Are you living the life that you want? I'll see you next week.
All right.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. This is almost a two-parter. It's not a two-parter, but it's almost a two-parter. I want to get you moving into the next year with a really good financial mindset. So this was about what have you done, where are you, and what are you poised to do next year. And next week, we're going to talk about the things that keep us stuck in finances that run around in our subconscious mind that we don't even know. So make sure you give it a listen. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for listening to the Successful Mind Podcast. If you like what you heard and you want to learn more, go to lifeisnowinc.com. I'll see you next week.